Alright everyone, normally I don't make videos this late in the day, but this one is more of a pressing issue, which is that Twitter, it's been confirmed now that they do indeed shadow ban people. Now James O'Keefe, who is ever maligned by all of the Holts of the world, like they really hate him because he actually does investigations, so they choose to fixate on like a couple times he was wrong, or he failed to do his little like Sting-style journalism to some group that he had an axe to grind with. They'll fixate on that and they try to ignore all of the exposés he's done, like when Bob Creamer ended up resigning, or when that other dude who was working under Creamer, he was like fired because it was exposed that the DNC was hiring third-party groups in order to do dubiously legal shit. It wouldn't have been good for their public outreach. It wouldn't have been good for their PR in the social media era, so they tried not to discuss that. I had one person try to defend Bob Creamer, then they're like, O'Keefe was found guilty of some misdemeanor or something. So I said, yeah, Bob Creamer was taken in and served several years on felony tax evasion. He was he was apparently like embezzling money or something. He went to federal prison for that, and these people, I guess they didn't understand that. But an engineer at Twitter, a senior engineer, has now confirmed they do indeed shadow ban. That's funny because if you mentioned that you thought Twitter did that a few months ago, it was considered a conspiracy theory. It was actually openly spoken of. No, Twitter's not shadow banning you. It doesn't do that. Now, I maintain there are sites about which that's claimed that I'm pretty sure it's not true. Like YouTube. Some people say YouTube shadow bans people. I don't actually think so. I've seen no evidence of it because, people say like, oh, testing, can you see this? I think I'm in shadow ban. I can see their comments just fine, although it may just be for me. Maybe it's like a partial shadow ban or something. I don't know. But indeed, Twitter does that. So basically, if you have an opinion Twitter doesn't like maybe your opinion is that Twitter is a bad company. Maybe your opinion is that Twitter censors things too much. And, maybe your opinion is, you like the candidate that Twitter didn't donate to or something. Then you'll get shadow banned potentially. Now, this is funny because this comes less than 24 hours after I stated before in the context of like alt tech and stuff. Twitter honestly is the weakest of the bigger sort of social media era tech firms. Like of all the intrinsic firms, if I had to predict which one would collapse out of existence or get hammered first, it would be Twitter. Now, behold, again, it's a series of missteps that show a callous disregard for the user base. With Google, we've had situations in the past, like with Cosmic Panda, where they've got a track record where if something's really unpopular, they'll rescind it. Or at the very least, things are underwhelming. Like for instance, with Limited State, the worry that a lot of people had was it's going to be broadly applied. So far, while it's been unfairly applied in some cases, it doesn't look like it's a particularly broad program. It looks like that degree of censorship is relatively limited, which is a good thing. I still oppose using it at all, but it isn't as broad as some people worried. With Twitter, they'll come in and say, well, we're going to do, X, Y, and Z to stop some group of extremists or whatever, and it ends up being more broad. Now we find that they shadow ban people regularly, and then a second clip was like, apparently the plan is eventually to automate flagging and banning entirely so that nobody has to do anything. So it'll be a total police state Twitter, it won't be worth using the platform. Mainly, when I think of it this way, Twitter ultimately as a communication tool is the quickest and most efficient, but it doesn't actually host much of its own sort of bulk. It's not like YouTube where you have channels or Facebook where you have profiles in the standard sense. It's a little bit different. It's sort of like a site that's also a messaging app, like a weird fusion between the two, and that has advantages as far as efficiency. But as far as actually driving content that's going to gain the site money, it seems to lag behind. And again, they keep making these mistakes. It's not a mistake to shadow ban people. It's a mistake to be caught out shadow banning people. I think Reddit does that as well. Now, although I think they announced it ahead of time that actually happened. Like they finally just said, yeah, we do that. Twitter didn't want this, I assure you, going public. I wouldn't be surprised if they attempt to suppress the content of people who actually mention it. Like when I post this video, maybe it doesn't reach everyone, or maybe it's not publicly visible to as many people outside of being retweeted or something. That would be funny. Excuse me. Yeah, the Red Bull's starting to wear off a little bit, so a little bit lower energy this time, but don't worry, I'll do just fine. But no, Twitter, the engineer confirms this. there's no reason to disbelieve it. It wouldn't make sense for them to say, oh yeah, we shadow ban people like it's common. It's, it's even a little bit alarming. We do it all the time. Yeah, there wouldn't be really a reason for some sort of engineer there to deny that that actually was taking place. So I'm going to just assume that it's true. Number one, Twitter, maybe they'll come out and deny it or something. Oh, no, we don't actually. Or yeah, we did it for a while, but don't worry, we stopped. We don't do it anymore. And this just verifies what people have said, which is, hey, a lot of times things don't reach anybody. Some hot, juicy take that should be quite popular, all of a sudden this post didn't reach anybody. I wonder why. It must be a shadow ban. All the legacy media and sort of like establishment types said, no, you're crazy. Take off the tinfoil hat. It actually does happen. Look, big tech controls an inordinate proportion of all human communication, which means that a lot of people want to throw money at them to take care of their problems. If Monsanto is tired of being criticized on Twitter, maybe they throw some money there and get some people suppressed that are very vocal and popular opponents of Monsanto. Just sort of human nature. It's money. If they think that they can invest a little bit, bribe Twitter or Facebook or whatever, and the payoff is larger than what they had to pay, or they can blackmail somebody or whatever, they're going to do that because it's in their best self-interest to do so. It's just the way that human beings operate. And in collectives, a company, run as it is by a handful of people that make the actual decisions, the same thing inevitably will happen. And they're going to hire people who have no problem with it either. Although I have no doubt that there are a few mavericks within a company like that occasionally don't do their job. They're like, oh, whoops, I was supposed to limit this tweet, but it slipped through. Yeah, I wonder why. And then it goes viral, and then they get reprimanded or something. Like someone sabotaging. They're like on the last day of work. They're like, aha, fuck this. It was like sort of like that employee who banned Trump briefly there. I'm sure that happens on a lower level occasionally too. That's about all. Peace out.